welcome and thanks for coming on. And could you just tell me a little bit about your music and what you do and maybe what your genre is?
Yeah, sure. So I go under the artist name Minute Taker, and I make kind of a mixture of acoustic and electronic. It's basically, yes, my genre is alternative singer-songwriter, and then there's several other kind of smaller genres, kind of that different songs fit into and things. But yeah, so it's I do lots of kind of almost folk orientated songs, but with like electronic synths, electronic beats. My favorite artists are Kate Bush and Bjork, and lots of alternative singer-songwriters, David Bowie, Radiohead. So just that might give you an idea of the kind of genre I work in. Yeah, what else would you like to know?
Yeah. Well, how did you get started? What was your background? What led you into kind of doing what you're doing now?
Well, I started playing the piano when I was about 13. We had this like old piano in our basement. I started tinkling away, and then I had a few lessons, but I didn't like reading music, so I just taught myself to play. And then I started to work with a producer, and I went to college to do popular music, and I started working with a producer who was on my course, and he showed me how to like produce songs on Logic and Cubase and stuff. So then I started like really getting into the production. And then I went to university and did contemporary music, and then started kind of putting out my own albums and things to like just like at first just friends and family, and then when I was in my mid-20s, I was working with a small indie label to release an album, and then at the very last minute they basically just did a complete 180 and said we're not going to release it.
Oh,
So
no.
so I was absolutely gutted. So that took me quite a long time to recover from that. I released the album myself, actually, with the help of one of the guys from the label, and got some really good press and stuff like that, and did some live gigs. But ultimately, just didn't have a clue what I was doing. Like, and I know, like, pretty much similar to what you've said about your own when you put your own first music out and stuff. Put it out there, just hoping that somebody's going to kind of come along and just make me into this signed touring successful musician. A few years later I released another album and actually I was a little bit more strategic about that one. I actually hired a PR person, a good one, which was really quite expensive, but they did give me some really good features in blogs and magazines and stuff. So I booked myself a few gigs and then got often quite disheartened by small crowds and just playing in like just bad places that just aren't appropriate for the type of music I do, like pubs and things, and I'm there like trying to do this quite heartfelt stripped down music. And so for many years I was just winging it, I suppose, and I was having real periods of intense creativity and really still loving making music, but then they kind of subside into periods of being much more, barren and no ideas and just feeling very upset, that the years are going by. And ultimately I was still working office jobs. So I was just on this roller coaster of like creative highs and then kind of these like ruts, and then I wouldn't be able to write anything. And I just like, all I'd want to do is watch TV, just box sets. And that's how I do for like weeks on end, and then feel terrible about myself because I wasn't moving towards my goal. As much as I do just like locking myself in my house with my piano and my Mac and making songs, really the end goal is always to share it, because that's where the real joy is, actually showing it to people, hopefully connecting with people. So yeah, fast forward to about 6 months ago, and your post came up on my Facebook feed. It was a seminar, you were doing like a free seminar to kind of give an introduction to the course and things. So I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. And I don't normally pay much attention to those things, but you sold it in such a way that I was like, oh, I have to actually watch that. So I signed up and I watched the seminar, and my mind was just blown. I was like, oh my God, is this real? Like, is this person, real? Is this true? Could this be true? Is this like a big hoax? How could I not have known this for all these years? All of that strategy and all of that idea of having all the different income streams some of which I'd kind of accidentally stumbled across anyway to an extent. But yeah, just hearing you kind of say it all and laying out all of these strategies in this way that you actually, like the automated email system was absolute revelation. Like, actually pulling people into this system and kind of grooming them, for want of a better word, into into being super fans. And the idea that you only need so many super fans, however many, to sustain a living from releasing, making your music. And as much as I like playing live, the probably my favorite part is the writing and recording. So like it gives me such a thrill to think, because actually now I'm actually making money, or just being in my house and doing my social media and letting the funnel kind of just do its thing, which is amazing, because that just I just love that's just that process is just going on and I'm not doing anything really. It's just I'm just kind of keeping it going. So yes, once I saw your webinar, I waited. Actually, it was really unfortunate because it was a day after we had Brexit, so the exchange rate had just plummeted. So I tuned into your course like the day after. So basically it worked out like so much more expensive for me to join than it would have done the day before because of the dollar to pound exchange rate. Yeah, they worked through Tom pretty quickly. Just like obsessively, and also just really just finding all sorts of other marketing stuff online as well. I'm subscribed to all these different things now, and I get like just really try and keep on top of all the trends and things, and spend a lot of time kind of going through all the different genres and then doing all the social media. Like the social media stuff was a real revelation as well. Like in Post Planner, I had 500 Facebook followers and a lot of them people I knew, and I didn't really know how to engage people, how to reach out and find new people.
How many followers do you have now?
Over 4,000 now.
That's amazing. Good for you.
So it's great, and so that's only been since probably like the beginning of this year, and the mailing list has gone up from 150 to I think it's nearly 1,000 now.
That's fantastic. That is really amazing what you're doing.
Yeah, so as soon as I basically started experimenting with the Facebook adverts and putting all of your advice into action, and just became quite obsessed and setting up all different adverts and looking at kind of tweaking them, doing ad sets so I could see like which ones are working, different countries, different age groups. Just really became very, very obsessed with like all of the demographics and all of the wording. And then I started to notice what was working, where I was getting the value for money, and it evolved over the course of a few months. And then, of course, I had an email from you around Christmas time about Superfan System, which I hadn't heard about before, about the whole automated email system. And I'd actually already started, I have to confess, I'd already signed up to your mailing list and kind of observed what you were doing with and I noticed that you're doing like the 3 songs for 3 days. So I had a go at creating that myself, because it wasn't in Tom. I'm not sure, I think you might have added it now, but I think at the time it wasn't in Tom, and I was like, I need to start trying this. I wasn't using MailChimp and everything because I didn't understand how to do the automated thing. So I was doing it all manually. So it was quite time consuming. But it was working. I started selling albums. So pretty much straight away. So I was like, wow, okay. And I didn't, and it was in a very primitive form as well, like the whole system. It was just me winging it really, kind of looking at what you were doing and thinking, how would this apply to my, audience? So when you had an email from you saying about Superfan System, I was like, yes, sign me up. And then blitzed Superfan System in a couple of weeks. I have been going back and going over things, but I just kind of like 24/7 was doing it. Like I was staying up till 4 a.m, like next lesson.
Now, hey, for you, what was the biggest difference between the Online Musician and Superfan System?
I think mainly the automated mailing system, which was the thing, that I was probably the thing I was most excited about from the start. So when I saw it was in Superfan System,
and you said you started seeing sales right away as soon as you implemented your funnel?
yeah, and not even when I'd done the proper automation, when I was literally doing it manually for a few weeks. I experimented with a few different songs and things, and started getting like great emails from people, like saying, lovely like fan emails. I was like, oh my god, like actual potential fans saying how much they love the music, which is so lovely. Like, and I've been getting that consistently, whether it's been on emails or comments or a lot of people Facebook message me as well on my artist profile. Um, and it's just so great after years of feeling completely disconnected to everybody. And I noticed that. So some of the Superfan system I thought was some of it kind of covered the same ground as Tom, but
There's some review.
Yeah, but perhaps went into more detail, and it was also useful just to go over it all again as well. But also the survey was very useful as well. I did a survey and sent it out on my mailing list on Facebook and got quite a lot of responses. And yeah, it was really useful actually to see all the words people were using. That helped me so much with my Facebook ads, because there were certain words, also certain bands that people, like you were saying, there were certain bands that people said they felt my music was inspired by or sounded like, but bands who I don't even really listen to. So I've actually started listening to those bands and actually including them in my targeting because of it. Because it's funny how the same names keep popping up and things, and it's just, and how people perceive it in a slightly different way to I was perceiving it. So now when I'm really using those words, in the descriptive words they were using to describe my music, I'm really using those in the ads and making it coherent, having them on the landing page and having them in the emails, and finding it very effective. And the landing page was something I did a lot of persevering with as well.
And I agree. When I go through the same processes as you guys do in Online Musician. Every time I go to make new music, I start at the beginning of Tom. And I go through it and I do the worksheets and I process everything over and over again. And I do the same thing with Superfan System too. Sometimes you can have more than one funnel, and you can have, it's all about testing absolutely everything. And I'm constantly, with the surveys and all the research we do, that we call it data mining, right? So we're extracting the data and the information from our fans who already love what we're doing, and we're getting those keywords, and they're giving us their perspective on what our music sounds like, what kind of mood does it put them in, and then everything, what books do they read, what video games do they play, everything, so that by the time we go to do our ads, we literally can read their mind. We're in their brains and we know exactly how they tick. And that's what you've done such an amazing job, even already working through Tom, that by the time you even did your manual emails, you were already seeing results. But I mean, it's so exciting to see how you've set it up since then, and the results you've been getting even, increased since then. Like, that is so phenomenal. And I'm wondering, there's some musicians in the Online Musician, in that group, and just out there, they're just out there and feeling really cynical. They're feeling really tainted, and they're feeling really depressed and discouraged by the music industry right now. They're just like, there's no money to be made. They're, now that we have streaming and Spotify, we're done for. Like, we're hooped. There's no light at the end of this tunnel. What would you say to those people?
Well, I think it really is. It's just perseverance and research. I've spent so many, hours, days, weeks over the last few months, just experimenting. And it is frustrating at times, and it is frustrating when you're putting out adverts and you're not getting very good value for money, and there's not much uptake. But it's just constantly tweaking and constantly, like you've said, like analyzing the results and really keeping hold of them and looking at what is working and what isn't working. And as well, I must admit, I did find the whole micro niche thing a little bit problematic, and I've certainly narrowed it down to there's certainly niches I fall into, but ultimately as one overall kind of micro niche, I have struggled a bit, and maybe that's an ongoing process. I think for some genres it works better than others, like your Celtic metal, I think, for instance, works really well. I think mine is a little bit more ambiguous. Also because the 2 albums I've released are slightly different styles.
But
but also,
you have you have your umbrella genre, and you definitely have a subgenre, and
yeah,
you know, and it absolutely is a process. And like I said, I didn't find my micro niche for 2 years, and some of that micro niche didn't really get revealed to me until I started surveying my fans, and they started telling me what it was. And I thought, hey, it's that. I thought it was this. And they started actually helping kind of steer me a little bit more in a direction where I thought, oh, you know, this is what they're hearing. I'm going to go a little deeper than what I thought I was doing. So instead of just symphonic metal or female fronted symphonic metal, they're hearing Celtic stuff, and there is some of that there, but I'm going to just, you know, not that I'm changing my music or my art whatsoever, but just, I'm going to, you know, it just helped point my ship a little bit more in a direction to go down, you know, a certain road. So you're, you know, as you continue to build your fan base on your fan page and build your email list, and you keep surveying them, you do this every so often, you're going to get more and more data from them, more and more what they hear. And of course, every time you record something new, put out a new project, you know, those albums can, you know, they might be slightly different from each other, you know. You know, if you're kind of still within that same umbrella and subgenre, your fans are going to come along for the ride with you, you know. Like there's some people who maybe do, you know, the alternative folk or whatever, and then next thing they're doing, you know, bluegrass. Well, that won't go over very well. You know, the fans are going to be very confused, but that's not what you're doing. You've got your style, what unique. I've listened to it. It's really good. And yeah. And then, you know, from each project to project, there'll be a slight variance, but your fans are hooked. They're hooked on you. They're hooked on what you do. So they're going to come along for the ride. And as you get more of that data, your ads are going to get better. And now, would you say, like, you know, it's a hit the first time you write an ad, or do you need to write lots of them to get good at it?
Yeah, I certainly wrote a lot of ads. And even I've been using a lot of, you know, similar artists and stuff. I did this one that was, I actually kind of played around and quite randomly selected like a great big bunch of artists for my first tier. And then for my second tier, I did another great big pool of artists, all obviously related artists. And I did a few of those type of ones. And one of them just like, for some reason, just worked really well. So it was like, and I was getting like 10p a page like for quite a while. And it was like, that's, you know, fantastic, you know, because before, like, I was struggling to get below like, you know, 30, 35p a page. And the same with the conversions, because at first I was really struggling to get anything less than £1 per conversion. But I was also noticing that a lot of people were going on to the landing page, but they weren't following through to sign up. So that's why that
tells you something right there, right?
Yeah, because I was thinking the ad wasn't working, but when I looked at the ad stats were actually really good. It was the landing page, because only 1 in 10 people were signing up. Well, and so I did a lot of experimentation with the landing page, and actually ended up with a landing page that I don't think looks as good, but seems to work better. It converts better.
That's marketing. That's exactly right. And there are sometimes I think, man, that looks ugly, or that's not how I would do it, and it converts best. So like you said, it is all about testing and experimentation. And, you know, there's some musicians out there who say, you know, they want to go through, say, Superfan System, and they're worried, like they have it in their mind that, you know, they're gonna have all the success the very first time they try something. You know, like you said, this involves a lot of testing and experimenting, and that's marketing. And you have to basically be hungry to learn and immerse yourself and be willing to just fill your mind with this stuff for a while, so that it becomes second nature to you. And you know, you're at the grocery store or whatever, and you see a good headline, take note. You know, now everything I'm looking at is, you know, oh, I love that word, or that jumped out at me. Or when you watch commercials now, you're going to start noticing all those things too, right? Because like, oh,
totally.
That was an awful commercial, or that was really amazing. That makes me want to click on that. And you start noticing your own behaviors, right? About what makes you click away, all of those things. And it makes us better entrepreneurs as musicians.
Yeah, and it's really fascinating. It's all psychology, isn't it? Like, and it's really liberating as well to to be able to embrace that side, because for years I would be of the mind, you know, that terrible mindset of I'm a musician, I don't do marketing, I do music. And then so it's really actually, it's been so liberating to learn it all and actually find that I think I'm actually getting quite good at it. You know, when you're actually seeing results, you know, a couple of my friends said to me, you know, like, you're on my Facebook lives and stuff, they're like, oh, you're a natural, you know, you're like a natural salesperson. And like, I would never have dreamt that I could like sell myself that way. If ever I had to like invite people to a gig or something, I'd be like cringing just having to like say, oh, well, I'm playing this gig and, you know, you know, you might not like it, but you know, it's just ridiculous. And now I'm like, you know, just telling everybody, yeah, come along, yeah, come and check it out.
Awesome. And well, that's what I love too, when you learn about good copywriting and you learn, I mean, it builds your confidence, I find so much. And now I have no problem, like, you know, selling to my fans. It's like, we're actually serving them too. When you look at it that way, we are giving them, you know, we are changing their day. Some of us are changing their lives. For some fans, like you start to get these emails, right? Where it's like, you know, this horrible thing happened to me and your music kept me going. And I get these emails a lot. I've had some people say they were suicidal and my music kept them going. Things like that. And you go, wow, you know, for them, you know, buying the CD or your merchandise or joining your fan club is part of that aspect that's keeping them going. I mean, you're going to start seeing a lot of this if you aren't already, or for those out there, you know, who watch this, when you learn how to, you know, hone in these skills, because it's a skill. Most of us don't wake up being good salespeople. Most of us hate selling, right? Do you agree? Like, you hate selling, I hate selling, but it's a natural skill. And like, when you realize a lot of this can be done online and it's coming in the form of, you know, the words you choose to put in your emails, the words you choose, which is copywriting, right? Which is art of using words to motivate people to action. That's the definition I kind of made up, but it motivates people to action, or to, you know, to do something that we want them to do, you know, that it's sometimes as simple as how we are phrasing things. And it's not promotion, like buy my stuff, guys. That's exactly what we don't want to do. But that's what doesn't work, is saying buy my stuff, and, you know, self-promotion in that way. And so I just absolutely love that, you know, you're talking about, this is something that you never saw yourself doing. You never thought you could do it comfortably, and you are doing it. You're absolutely doing it. This is absolutely killer. Now, what would you say to, you know, we're releasing Superfan System this week, actually, to the rest of the Tom students who feel they're ready to make that step. Not everybody is at that point, and that's totally great. You know, we want everyone to go at their own pace. But for those students who are feeling like, you know, they've gone through the Tom course, they've gotten, you know, a pretty good handle on it, and they're wondering, do they need more advanced training like Superfan System? What would you tell them?
I would say, absolutely, invest in your skills. Like, and that's one thing, you know, these courses have taught me. Like, when I think of I don't know how many years, it's been nearly 10 years since I put my first album out. When I think of all of those years of, you know, basically trying to wing it, not knowing what I was doing, hoping someone's going to come along and, you know, make it all happen for me. And yeah, I just think, God, I just wish I'd have known all this 10 years ago. And I wish I'd have researched and invested in my skills then. So I just think, God, you know, like it's absolutely crucial, you know, and the Superfan System is definitely, you know, it definitely houses a lot of those skills you need to learn, especially in terms of the automated mailing system, the further narrowing down your, you know, audience, doing your survey, and all of the all of the research into the fan avatar was so useful. I've really got a good idea of the typical demographics of my fans now, and I just see them coming through time and time and time again, positive responses, and, you know, lovely messages. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you're another one who fits that avatar. Like, you see it time and time again, and it really works. It's just so rewarding to actually see all of the, you know, all of the studying and all of the perseverance paying off. People are buying, you know, signed CDs, you know, from me quite frequently, and yeah, it's just brilliant. So I would absolutely say, do it.
That is absolutely amazing. Tell me now, like my last question for you, what does it feel like to gain a super fan who is, come into your email funnel, they go through your system and then they buy your music? What does that feel like?
Oh my God, every time I get that email from Bandcamp, cha-ching, it just lights up. I just love it. And you see them coming through. It's just such a thrill every time it happens. So it was just nothing like it to think that, to think after all these years of basically not, I think before I started Tom, I hadn't sold a CD online for like a year or something ridiculous. I wasn't getting anything from CD Baby from my, because they've started coming through as well, because there's a few month delay, isn't there? So I've started getting like, $80 a month from CD Baby just from like streaming and downloads on top of the Bandcamp stuff, which seems to be, continuing to grow. So, I just think of all those years. I was selling CDs when I was doing some gigs, but ultimately, like online, it was just like nothing. And now it's like, every week I'm selling lots of CDs. I did this little set of my 2 albums and 2 EPs all signed, and people like buy like the whole set. And quite a lot of people just buy the whole lot straight away, because they like it so much that they just buy it all. So.
Absolutely brilliant. Last question. Where can people learn about you and get your music?
Well, my artist name is Minute Taker. I'm on Facebook, Minute Taker Music. My website is minutetaker.net. If you'd like 3 free songs, you can head to minutetakermusic.com, and I'll email them to you.
This has really been so encouraging. Like, I hope, do we have your permission to share some of your story with?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
You on our website? What you've done, like, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. Like, you're one of my, favorite students has gone through this and actually implemented. You did the work, there's nothing more frustrating than knowing, like, providing, education, information that works, and then people don't do it. And then they complain, why didn't I get the results? You're doing it and you're getting the results. And I can tell you own this, you've taken that responsibility. You're going to crush it. I know you're going to see increased results this year. Like, I'm so excited for you. And wow, you just totally blew me away.
Honestly, can't thank you enough. And I'm absolutely, delighted that I can, help with anything like this, because like it really, just since seeing your first, webinar, like it really did change everything instantly for me. And it has not been the same since. It's been amazing. It's just been on an upward trajectory. I can never say that word. Well, I just got a £14,000 grant from the Arts Council to tour my new album.
No way.
So I'm gonna hit the road. I've got some shows planned, and I'm gonna record the album and put all of this stuff into action for the new album. Start from scratch with the micro niche stuff, because it's moving on slightly, and apply it all to the touring stuff as well. So
wow, congratulations! Very proud of you. Very proud of you. Just and other people around you probably don't recognize all the things you're doing behind the scenes. Maybe your friends, they have no idea what you're doing. So I want to just give you that recognition. You have worked hard. You have done so much work, and you have put in the effort, and you're going to kill it. You are killing it. So I have to acknowledge that for you, because other people they have no idea.
But I had definitely had and continue to have the hunger. Like it's that drive. Like I need more, like need more knowledge, more skills, because it's working.
Well, I've got more for you, and I'm going to be adding some stuff to the Superfan System this year, some updates and other.
Great.
And hey, I'm releasing an album this year. There's a bunch of cool strategies that I'm going to be testing, and of course, you're going to know about it. Launch strategies, whether it's a single or it's like a very like a viral lead magnet type of thing. So stay tuned, because I'm definitely going to be informing you guys about that, and I'm really excited. So anyway, all right. Well, I will let you go. Thank you so much for coming on. It was such a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, you too. Take care. Speak soon.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Bye.